We are on page 134 and the third chapter, 14th mantra. The 14th and the 15th mantra is, I mean, uh, these very famous mantras. I'll read the Sanskrit and then we'll read the translation. सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्ष सहस्रपात् स भूमिं विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठद्दशाङ्गुलम् पुरुष एवेदगं सर्वं यद्भूतं यच्च भव्यम् उतामृतत्वच्छेषानः यदन्नेनातिरोहति. That's the 14th and the 15th. I'll read the translation, the verses. The 14th is, the Purusha has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 feet, encompassing the universe from all sides. He extends beyond it by 10 fingers' breadth. The Purusha is indeed all this that grows through food and what was and what will be. Besides, he is the ordainer of immortality. These mantras, they are hoisted out like some of the older mantras that he does, this sage does, from the older sections of the Vedas in order to find a kind of a continuity in the experience. See, your experience has to tally with the scriptures. If you see, I've seen some angels flying about. I see it, you can't. There's something wrong. You too can see it. And this, there are certain universal experiences that open themselves up to minds on that level. So these two verses, these two mantras, are from the Rig Veda, one of the oldest section of Vedic literature, and especially in the hymn called the Hymn of the Supreme Cosmic Person, Purusha Sukta. Yes, it's a tremendous. So in there also, as we see, the sage is experiencing this reality. The previous mantras we had discussed how that supreme reality called the Purusha is like a size of a thumb, Angushta Matra, here in the heart. Exactly. And is that all to reality? No, that was for meditation. You got to fix your mind on a particular center of consciousness. And that was it. And you, for every meditation, you need an object. So this Purusha of this size is luminous there. So you've got to meditate on that luminous aspect of that reality within. And then this verse says that reality, which is like that, is all pervading. And that reality has got 1,000 heads and 1,000 eyes and 1,000 feet. The population there probably wasn't much for him to say 1,000. He could have said millions and billions and probably zillions. Now it's 7.5 in a billion. Yeah.
What does he make? At some point, could you tell us what he means by extends by 10 fingers?
Yes, we will get into that because that's important. That's the part that's important. So in the scriptures, what we have is, there are two processes. One process is it's called superimposition, and the next process is desuperimposition. You see, there's a reality, a extensive reality, and now we ought to understand the nature of this reality. So what happens is we see this universe and we say, now what's the reality behind this universe? So for me, this universe is this universe. For another being, say maybe a cat or a dog or maybe a rat or an ant, the universe is different. And if they are Vedantins, of course, they will superimpose their ideas of the universe on the reality. You got it?
like Kant's.
Yes, it's a superimpose. It's called adhyasa. But that's the first process. The second process is to desuperimpose that reality. It's called apavada. Why? Because your ideas of the universe were limited. Your ideas of the reality were limited. So your superimposition did help you locate yourself in a particular place and time and circumstances and with your ideas of reality. And then once you peel back what you had superimposed, you find, oh, the reality is much more than what I had envisaged. What I thought, my God, is this also? So this is a process of it's a now we constantly superimpose our ideas on things. It's natural. When I look at a particular thing, oh, it's good. Oh, it's bad. It's nice. It's not nice. It's- I'm constantly doing kind of a evaluative judgments all the time. We are superimposing ourselves on things. It's the same, you can say, nature that we superimpose our ideas of reality on that. And then the scriptures say, wait, now you had enough of superimposition. Now peel back the layers. And as you peel back the layers, here we are. So this Purusha, this reality, Purusha means that which fills everything. That reality which fills everything. And what's it? It's got 1,000 hands, 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 feet. I mean, every head. Now, when I said 7.3 or 7.5 billion years, yes, but that's only human heads. What about all the types of all the heads in the universe? What the scripture is trying to tell us is that He is the reality, and what we think of as I is a kind of a error, a misjudgment. It is all that reality. His heads and hands and feet everywhere. So we are all part of that cosmic person. Not only parts, we are that cosmic person. So this is my body, and this is my house, and this is my family, my friends, my neighborhood, my this, my that. This is my world. And then suddenly, as knowledge is saying, oh, this is my country, my world. Your reality keeps on expanding. And then there are beings which are not like you, right down to the very smallest single cell creature. You feel, yes, if I have life, they too have life. If I have a mind, they too have a mind. Wherever there's life, there's a kind of a reaction, there's a mind. And if I have a soul, they too have a soul. So gradually we are expanding. Now, when you see Oh, now this is the reality. Now, what's the real nature of this reality? This is that. It is that one reality is appearing as manifold. The one becomes the many. As Upanishads say, I am one, let me be many. Eko ham bhavishyam. Let me be many. And that became many through the agency of Maya. So here we are.
Swami, is there a nicer way to express yourself rather than me, I? Is it just for training one's own sensibilities and
You can use the plural we.
we?
Yeah, it's us. It's like, even if you use the word I, you try to understand that this is not the small, the raw I. It's the mature I. It's a child of God, or a fragment of reality. There's nothing wrong with saying I, you, but if you can have
You're not
along with,
caught.
yeah, if you have the idea that this I belongs in a way to God, or I'm a child of God, or I'm a part of the reality, it won't harm you. Sri Ramakrishna says the snake which has venom, and if it bites, there you are, you finish. But that venom does not harm that snake. In fact, it produces venom. So a mature I, a child of God, does not harm you. You can use it. Yes, I. This I. You want. So that is one way of. Uh, but the better way is like, yeah, when you see people, you see everything. Yes, we are all part of that reality, which is called that cosmic person. And it's a tremendous uplifting thought. So this reality is this, and then encompassing the universe from all sides. I mean, it's not here, it's everywhere, the whole thing. He, the reality extends beyond the universe by 10 fingers breadth. That is, he's showing the immanence as well as the transcendence of God. Reality cannot be exhausted with only this. Yes, what we see is that reality, but that reality also transcends what we see. It's beyond all conception. Now you say, I know this book. That is, this book has been limited by my mind. I know God. You cannot say that. You want to limit God by your mind, which is impossible. Okay, I've understood that this whole universe is a kind of an appearance of God appearing like this. Now, okay, is that all of God? No, it transcends all conceptions, all names, and all forms. So, Swami Vivekananda, one time, he goes into that highest state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, where there are no forms and no names. But the whole universe, he says, as he was proceeding towards, mentally, of course, towards that reality, he sees his whole universe rise and fall like a kind of a shadow idea. The whole universe is a kind of a cosmic mind, right? And then that too merges, and what he experiences was that reality which is beyond a universe, beyond name, beyond form, beyond everything. And as his mind came down, he's seen this that same reality as manifested in this. So reality has two aspects, Saguna and Nirguna. That is the immanent reality as well as the transcendent reality. Okay. Now, about this 10 fingers length, uh, it's the way it's talking about the transcendence. At the same time, it's kind of a has another meaning. That Purusha we were speaking about, the size of the thumb, it's in the heart. Now, where exactly is that heart? The heart in the sense, your very core of your being. It is 10 fingers from your navel up. There, you've got that. You hold on to that point in your consciousness. So, from it's here now,
Yeah.
it's here outside. Because that same reality, right, has to be your reality as well. It's God's reality. God, in the sense of the cosmic person, it's the reality. But you also need to identify yourself. That has to be there within you. We leave some time later towards the end for questions. So we can. Then the next page 135, mantra 15 of the third chapter, is saying that reality, the Purusha, is indeed all this that grows through food and what was and what will be. That is, now it's transcending time. It has transcended the past, present, and future. And that which grows through food, what grows through food, is talking about evolution. What is the first thing that when we see this universe, what strikes us? It's a display of intelligence everywhere, or display of consciousness. If we would not encounter this panorama of supreme intelligence or consciousness, we would be living in a kind of a dark world. I mean, the dead world. We would be like zombies. We encounter the display of intelligence. Whether you look at it from the prey and predator, how wonderful this whole evolution is. It has grown. Now, when you see this whole universe as a display of intelligence or display of mind or consciousness, it means that if it is there here, it has to have been in the very beginning. So, what actually evolved? The mind or consciousness or intelligence that got, as I had mentioned, it got involved and then started evolving. So the whole of the tree is involved in that seed, and the seed is an evolution of that seed. So if this is there, the cause and the effect are one. We see a kind of a gradual expansion of that. Slowly, it is, as Vivekananda says, it is uncoiling itself. Consciousness is uncoiling itself gradually. So it grows, and for mean growth, it evolves and evolves and evolves and evolves. So if you can see consciousness here, consciousness. Now, what is the nature of that consciousness? It's this reality we are speaking about. There you are. So he got into the one, and then he evolved into the many. That's a nice trick. It's a nice process, not a trick. Yeah, it's a process. He became the many. He or she, the reality, the Purusha, uh, has become the many through a kind of a everything is an evolution. What we are today is a long process of thinking and feelings and willing and acting. Nothing is wasted. Remember this in spiritual life, even in ordinary life, nothing is wasted, not even your mistakes. They all count. And that's the reason why they say there cannot be any kind of eternal damnation because we are going towards that being. All our actions are directed towards. We feel they were mistakes, but on retrospect, we find, oh, they were angels unawares. Some of the things I've done, oh, this is horrible. Yeah, but that has now evolved me to this stage. Yeah. So they say both good and bad deeds are like, kind of. In India, we have these farmers when they want to get water in the field. There's a channel or kind of a rivulet or a stream, and there are the barricades. You lift these barricades, and the water rushes in by its own nature. So the process and power of evolution or intelligence simply rushes in the moment some of these barriers are broken. And both good and bad deeds are helpers in breaking these barriers. In rushes the power of nature, and you keep on evolving. I was just watching a little clip, video clip. So a little girl, she's saying, "Why don't you take the name of the Lord, please?" She's telling a teacher, and there are people all around. One of the popular names of God is Radha, the Divine Mother in the form of Radha. Say Radhe, Radhe. And the teacher is saying, please say it. And he is hesitating. Don't you remember? I was a small worm and you said Radhe, Radhe, and I became a butterfly. And didn't you remember? Kept on saying Radhe, Radhe, and I became a bird. And and she describes the whole process of her evolution. And I've come here. Won't you let me attain freedom? Say that. Say those words. And then he says those words. There it is. Our consciousness has been evolving. And we've been taking different bodies to contain that consciousness. Higher and higher and higher and higher body. And this human body is the best, the best vehicle for consciousness. It's a tremendous gift. Life has given us an exceptional, precious, can say, instrument. Here, the forces of nature are equally balanced. There's pleasure, pain, happiness, misery, all these things. That itself in the ideal location. They say even the gods are jealous of humans. Even they would like to come down and take a human body. Huh. Oh, yes, because on this plane, you can attain absolute liberation. It's like, no, we say it is a human body, this life kind of a degenerate. No, Vedanta simply cuts all those things away and say, this is a divine life. And this is, you're living in kind of divinity. Do you want to go to heaven? You'll forget all about it. You'll drink nectar, you'll dance there, and you'll get rheumatism. They say, why do you have to bother? So Vedanta, in fact, it discards all ideas of heaven and hell and all. This is your greatest life. This, your present moment, your present consciousness. And you have travel long and hard. Who has been impelling you? That very consciousness has been impelling you. There you are. And as we keep on, we come to one point where we feel that this consciousness, that Purusha which is in me, is now spread out all over, not only as an indweller, but the very stuff of this universe. It's like consciousness has congealed. And when consciousness congeals, it is called nature. What we call nature. Swami Vivekananda, he was a little skeptical about all these things. When his master, Sri Ramakrishna, you read this book and you used to read the Astavakra Samhita. That's a very high, you can say, sublime Vedantic truths. And Vivekananda, though he had read Vedanta and he used to practice meditation, these sages must have crazy. How can it be? Everything is Brahman. And then Sri Ramakrishna used to say, don't read it for yourself then. You read it for me. Okay. And Vivekananda used to read that. But he used to grumble about it. These guys must have been intoxicated to say all these things. And then he left the book and he goes to sit down to smoke with his friend. In the old days, we had a couple days. And he's telling his friend Hazra, this pot also is Brahman and this also Brahman. Ha, ha, both of them are laughing. And Shri Ramakrishna comes, what are you two laughing? And he just touches Vivekananda's chest. And Vivekananda says, with my open eyes, I actually see this whole world is nothing but consciousness. But he's a smart guy. He keeps quiet. He doesn't say anything. He leaves for home. He goes back home. His mother is waiting on him. And she is like, why don't you eat? And he's sitting down. And at times he's lying down, getting up. And when he's eating, he feels he's not satisfying his own hunger, but he's feeding the whole world. And there's kind of a numbness. And his mother is worried. What's happened to him? And it took a few hours for him to finish one meal. He's sitting down and then again lying down. He's seeing everything as consciousness. And then he says, then his mind comes a notch down. And then he sees the whole world, universe, dreamlike. Everything is kind of a hazy, kind of a dreamlike quality. And he is taking a walk and then he tries to knock his head against some iron railings to think whether they are real or dreams. Iron railings. Saying a horse carriage coming down the street, he didn't feel like moving out because he's seen the stuff that made him also has made the horses and the carriage and the roads, everything. After 3 days, his mind came down to this level and said, after that, I never disputed the fact that what the sages have said is true. And this is what they say. So somehow, consciousness kind of congeals and takes a form, and we call that nature. It is nothing but consciousness. So these two mantras are these great mantras called the Purusha Sutta. Sutta is a kind of phrase in the Rig Veda when they're speaking about your experience as cosmic. Today, our experience is individualized in this body. We simply cannot jump out of our bodies, which is not possible. But within this body, as you realize that indwelling soul there, rather the oversoul there, you'll find that reality there everywhere. There is nothing. So in Vedanta, they say there is no two. Somebody might ask him, okay, so we have consciousness and then we have the world? No, we have one. The world appears. It's a kind of an appearance in consciousness. It's like when you're looking at a morning sun. You're looking at a sun, but the size of the sun is much larger than what you would see the sun overhead. That's because it's a kind of a perceptual trick your visual sense does. You take the reference of a horizon or a tree or something like that, and the sun appears much larger. Wow, see that sun out there. When the sun keeps on rising, there is no reference point. These artists, they know how how to put perspective in the drawing. The same thing your brain does it. So is yes, that's part of seeing. There is a real sun, but it appears slightly different. We see we see that reality, but it appears as this universe. And once we eradicate all reference points, then what happens? We see the reality as it is. Is it necessary for us to see the transcendent aspect of reality? No. If you can see reality manifestly, you've got it. It's like, Sri Ramakrishna says, somehow or the other, like you're looking out for a job probably, and you want to meet some of these old, can say, in India we had these great big landlords, they were called zamindar. Zameen is land, and they were like chieftains, and people used to go to them for a job or something like that. And there were these watchmen, these guards. They never allowed everyone to get in. So Sri Ramakrishna says, somehow get inside, even by elbowing the guards out, or even going behind the wall, end of the wall, and jump over the wall. But somehow meet that chief there. And the chief will tell you, I've got this and I've got that, and I'll employ you fine. So all obstructions need to be pushed out. And once you can do that, so God or the reality will show you what exactly is there, how much, but just a glimpse of it is enough. Yesterday we were reading Yogin Ma's biography. So Yogin Ma was a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and she was a constant companion of Holy Mother. She was really a great soul. When she used to meditate, she used to just plunge in that. So Vivekananda one time, after his tour of America and the West, he goes back. He said, Yogin Ma, come. You prepare this. I want to eat food prepared by you. And besides, you have attained samadhi. She had attained samadhi. And during the last moments, that memory will revive and you will give up your body in some samadhi. So you don't have to worry about it. You're not wasting your time cooking for me and all that. Oh, let's meditate. So just a glimpse. Now, if you want to make it continuous, kind of, I want to see this reality continuously. You can do that. You need to practice. But Sri Ramakrishna is a little. There was another devotee, Gopale Rama, who used to see the reality as the baby Krishna, Gopala, everywhere. That consciousness had congealed and into a form of what she used to meditate upon. And you won't believe it, that Krishna used to sit down and eat with her, go to the river and bathe with her, come down, help her cooking, help her cleaning. And he used to grumble also. Oh, this food is not good enough. And then he used to grumble, say, "There's the pillow is not soft enough." Huh? Okay, rest your head on my arm. And she used to. So God takes the form, any form you like, if you want to see it like that. So becomes the impossible becomes possible. And she was continuously in that state. Now, when she came to Sri Krishna, she saw that baby Krishna. Uh, she was oblivious of the world. She was in that state, high state of some kind of samadhi. And she saw the baby Krishna entering into Sri Krishna, again coming out. Then she understood that this is that same reality. Then he placed his hand on her heart and calmed her down, brought her mind down. He's saying, continuously being in this state, your body will not last because there's no food, there's no water. Everything is transcended. You transcend all the body limitations continuously. In this age, it's not possible for you to have a kind of a continuous vision. But whenever you want to, you can get that vision. So it's a kind of a lesson for all of us also. We get a glimpse of the reality, and there it is. And later, of course, she found that this whole reality is pervading, that Krishna is all pervasive. So once you get a glimpse, there you're free. And that is what it is. People go to this Kumbh Mela, no? Somebody was saying like, uh, millions and millions of people, they haven't read any scripture, they haven't read. Somehow, it's the largest gathering of humanity in one place. And what do they come for? They come for kind of the idea of liberation. Say, when you have a bath in that during that auspicious time, you will be liberated. So, this idea of liberation is so ingrained in people. It's not a physical bath. You've got to merge yourself into that consciousness. That is like bathe in that consciousness of your being. This is the idea. The external, you can say, symbols or rituals are just kind of helps for you to understand that the real path is this. So here we are. If we are all going, of course, towards liberation. No one is left out. No one. If liberation, salvation, or freedom is such a good thing, why should you be selfish and say no? Only we. No, no. Everybody come. There's enough place for everyone there. So come one, come all. So we are all going towards that reality. We can get a glimpse of this.
It's one glimpse.
Even one glimpse is sufficient. And that one glimpse, see, what is time? It's, if you cut it down, it's just moments and moments and moments and moments. If you can, it's like a extensive chain, links repeated over and over. If you can hold one link in the chain, you know the whole chain. Yeah, that's it. So this is how we know the whole chain, you know the whole existence, one consciousness, one glimpse, you know infinity. Yeah, that's the idea of, you can see just one glimpse now. So this is how we gradually understand it. And this realization, as I said, comes as long as we have the sense of ego. We need to exert ourselves, we need to push ourselves, do something. And there comes a time when you've had enough of struggles, then you let go. Then the divine race, which has already been kind of impelling you, pushing you, pushes you further. Like Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of, these in India, we have the near uh, the ocean, we have these large waves, and these you got to maneuver your craft boat over these waves. And once they cross over the waves, then you can take it easy. The helmsman, the oarsman. So as we are going up and down through our idiosyncrasies, to our this and to our that, and we need to push and pull. After that stage, you can simply relax. That's because we need to work out or work away this idea of separateness and aloneness, and the idea of, you can say, I'm a very special person, this and that. You think, is that reality? We slowly, then we know, oh, that's it. In fact, Swami Vivekananda says it's a mistake to call a human being a human being. It's the divine appearing as a human being. And he clearly says that after so much of austerities, I have found that God directly exists in the human form. He had to go through all these years of austerities. He says, God is directly realized in the human form. So, first, not there, first year, do it within you. Once you do it here, you can, then everything else is that reality. You can take some questions you wanted to.
To the heart, not the head.